pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Nice sync with all of us being in different places.
Okay, Kylie, let's do roll call.
Jason Gilman,
Yes.
Andy Merritt,
Yes.
Mark McKellen,
Yes.
Bill Melzer,
Here.
Carl Brown.
Here. All right, I would look for approval of the agenda. Whoop. Oh, hold, I'm gonna back up a step here. I have to ask a question of the three people doing remote. I'll start with you, Jason. Is there anybody in the room with you?
Not in this room. She's in the other room.
Okay. Andy, anybody in the room with you?
I'm by myself.
Okay. Mark, anybody in the room with you? Did he answer?
He said, shook his head no.
Oh, shook his head no? Yeah, you need a
No.
verbal here one.
Just the sock monkey.
Okay.
Make sure they have pants on.
Yeah. Okay.
There's that news guy.
No. Okay, now we will move on, and thank you, Brad. I'm glad I mentioned that to you, and I would have skipped by it. So now I'm looking for approval of the agenda.
So moved.
Support.
Who is the supporter?
Merritt.
Andy? Motion by Bill, supported by Andy to approve the agenda. We'll do any comments, any problems? Let's do a voice vote on that. Roll call.
Don't we have roll call, don't we?
Yep. Andy Merritt,
Yes.
Mark McKellen,
Yes.
Bill Melzer,
Yes.
Jason Gilman,
Yep.
Carl Brown.
Yes. All right. Any conflicts of interest with what's on the agenda tonight?
No.
That was Mark, a no. Andy?
No.
Jason?
Nope.
Bill?
No.
Carl? No. Okay. This is our first public comment area. We need to make sure, Joe, that our call-in line is up.
It is up?
If it's up and running,
Yes.
okay, all right. Because if it's not, then we have to cease the meeting if we don't have that option in here. So that's up and running. This is a spot for our first public comment. Kylie will read the rules of public comment, and then we will check and see if there's any members of the public that would like to comment.
Any person may make an advanced appointment with the board regarding road commission topics for a regular or special meeting in accordance with the Open Meetings Act. If an appointment is made, the topic will be an agenda item. The following applies to public comments. 1, please state his or her name and address. 2, topic must be relevant to the road commission. 3, individuals are allowed to speak once for up to 3 minutes on a single topic, which may be extended by the chair. 4, a group addressing the board requires a designated spokesperson who may speak up to 10 minutes. And 5, the board will not act on any item from the public that is not on the agenda. For Zoom software users, please use the chat option for any public comment. And for the phone, we will unmute, and please say yes if you'd like to speak.
Joe, do we have anybody online?
There is one phone call, and it is a phone number ending in 110, and I will allow them to speak and say yes or no if they have a question or would like to speak for public comment. Phone number ending in 110, it is your turn to say if you have public comment.
Hi, this is Beth's friend. I don't have any public comment at this time. Thank you.
All right, thank you. And I see no hands raised. There is no other phone call in, There are other participants, but I do not see the raised hand feature up, and I do not have any chats. If you would like, I can run through the list though, like the phone call.
You can run through the list like the phone call if you would like.
Well, we can do that at the end, I think, Joe.
Okay.
All right, moving along. We'll close the first public comment. Next item on the agenda is action items. No appointments, and then the consent calendar.
Move to approve. Adopt.
Motion by Mauser to adopt. Is there a second?
McKellar, second.
McKellar seconded. Any members of the board like to pull any item off from the consent calendar? Yeah, yes, go ahead.
The consent calendar is used to expedite business by grouping non-controversial items together without discussion. Requests by any person present to remove any item from the consent calendar for full discussion as agenda items are automatically rejected. The action noted in parentheses for all items remaining on the consent calendar are approved by a single commission act adopting the consent calendar. The manager recommends the following items be adopted. 1, minutes. 2, payroll. 3, accounts payable. 4, financial reports. And 5, reports and communications.
Thank you, Carly. I will ask again, is there any member of the board that would like to pull anything?
Manager's report.
Manager's report?
Yes, sir.
Okay, we will move that to item C. Anything else? Hearing none, we'll do a roll call, Kylie.
Mark McCullough?
Yes.
Bill Meyer,
Yes.
Jason Gilman,
Yes.
Andy Merrick,
Yes.
Carl Brown.
Yes. Okay, moving to item C, Andy.
I'm looking for, oh, there it is. I just wanted to point out and congratulate Todd Lash on being promoted to field services foreman. I think that was a great choice. And I think that it deserves a little bit more recognition just being read through in the report. With that, I'd move to receive and file the manager's report.
Support.
Anybody else have any comments on that? Okay. I don't know if we need to vote on that, do we? I don't think so. Okay. Item D, 2020 budget amendment number 2. Phil will speak on that.
Yeah, so this is the second budget amendment. The first one the year even started. Let me unmute here. Does that sound better?
Yeah.
So I closed out 2019 and rolled forward all of our projects for this year. As you remember, we bought out federal aid instead of selling it this year, so that was a big adjustment. Got all of our projects in and updated all of our revenue. The Michigan MTF, I pulled back a little bit based on preliminary estimates. They were telling us about a 5 to 10% reduction per month. I did get an email today that Department of Treasury updated some figures, and it might be down some more than that. We might be looking around $1 million, $1.2 million difference than what they first anticipated, but we'll continue to monitor that. As you'll see, we still have sufficient fund balance to kind of weather this storm, if you will. We were trying to increase fund balance a little bit from our target of 3.3 up to 5 million. After we went through the projects, we were sitting right around 4.75 million, and that's anticipating the Kingsley build out goes through and the financing associated, with that project. So I know some things won't happen this year in 2021, but I do have them included in the budget. And that's pretty much where we stand on that. You guys have any questions?
Any questions from anybody?
This is an amendment for the 2020 year.
Correct.
Okay, you got some more, Phil? Or was that, are you?
That's pretty much it. I mean, I went through and moved some things around from routine maintenance to projects. At the bottom,
As you guys can see, on the far right of the screen there, that number is approaching 30 million. That's a huge number for us. Probably, certainly could be one of the largest ones this road commission has ever had. But I mean, there is carryover in there, and like Phil said too, we have sufficient fund balance to weather this out. So, and I was talking to Phil earlier in the week on that. So, I'm comfortable with what Phil has done here, with the few changes he's made. So,
Carl, I
if
do have a
anybody
question
is
here.
not comfortable, I guess I'd like to hear, what you're looking at, and if not, I guess we could have a motion to. Well,
Carl,
go
I do
ahead.
have a quick
Andy
question.
has, and this is Mark. Andy has a question, and after Andy's done, I would like to ask a question as well.
So it's for Phil. We're looking at 2020. We're not quite sure what's happening exactly with the MTF and the various funding. You're comfortable at this point, though, with what we've got, that we've got enough fund balance to weather the storm like we had planned? That's why we had that fund balances in case something like this did happen.
yeah, I'm very comfortable at this point.
Are we gonna have to start looking at projects possibly, or purchases, or is there something that's gonna be bumped until next year that would give us that break, like say the Kingsley building?
There will be some things that we know will kick into next year. So that's where I'm fairly comfortable where we'll end up in a good position at the end of this year. But obviously we'll continue to monitor the MTF. That's a big concern of mine.
But as of right now, where we sit, you're comfortable with what we've got. We don't need to panic at this point.
With all the projects we have programmed, yes.
Perfect. I'm all set, Carol. Thank you.
And in regards to the MTF too, I was watching, I can't remember what program it was, this morning, I guess it was. And I guess it was a farm program, and they were talking that consumption has went up about 15% here in the last week, is what they're figuring. And it was based on ethanol too being so far down. But so gas consumption, maybe not locally here, but it is on the uptick. So I mean, that's good for MTF for us. So.
Carl?
Mark?
Yeah. So our amended budget shows a total revenue of 27.8, okay? You go down to total expenditures, 32.5. So right now, we're spending more, according to this budget, than we're gonna get for revenue.
Correct, but there was sufficient fund balance from the prior year.
And
Okay,
Mark,
so
also,
then,
some
so
of
then,
these, Mark, are carryovers that
okay,
we
so
had,
then,
and that's why the fund budget was so high, or the fund
Right.
balance, is because we had some carryovers from last year. So now we are going to be expending money that we have received last year, and that still will leave us with a sufficient fund balance.
well, that's right. That's what I wanted to get clarification is then if we go down below, you're saying we had carryover about 9.4. And then when you take that out into consideration, you end up with 4.7, and we're comfortable with 4.7 right now in our fund balance, not knowing what's going to happen with the revenue for April and May.
Yes,
And of course, we could come back and do another adjustment if we needed to.
Correct.
absolutely.
All right.
Right.
That's all I really wanted to, I just wanted to hit all those numbers, go through it as an exercise and ask that question about the additional option of.
That's
we need to change
great. That's good.
I'll make the motion that we accept the amended budget for 2020 as presented this evening. Mark?
I'll support.
Motion by McKellar, seconded by Bill, to accept the 2020 budget amendment number 2. Anybody have any further comments?
Just a question for Brad mostly, I guess.
Sure.
You know, we've gone essentially 2 months with reduced use on our roads, and frankly, the weather has been fairly favorable to us. Long term, does that have any effect, do you think? Are we going to have some long-term benefit from that? Because we really haven't been getting anything torn up too bad. And I've been on some of the feeders, and they're pretty clean right now.
Yeah, and we are getting out there. We're gonna start on Monday, replacing cold patch with hot patch. So, you know, we're moving along at a good pace. We were able to get a lot of the maintenance done that we need to get done ahead of time. So that's gonna be an advantage. And yes, we did not have a lot of freeze thaws once the cracks started opening up. So we haven't really seen near as much of the blowouts that we've seen in the past. Plus the fact that our roads are in just better condition.
That answer your question, Jason?
Thank you, yes.
Okay, anybody else real quick? Nope. Kylie, let's do roll call.
Mauser,
Yes.
Gilman,
Yes.
Merrick,
Yes.
McKellar,
Yes.
and Brown.
Yes. Item E, annual maintenance truck uplift purchases. I guess this is you, Brad?
Yeah, this is for the trucks that we have purchased, and they are coming in for the next year. But this is to lock in our pricing and get them scheduled to show directly up into truck and trailer to get them upgraded from a truck to a plow truck. So we are looking at, the company was able to hold very close to the exact prices of last year. And the only thing that went up was the spreader on the rear. Other than that, every price from everything within the build is the same.
Well, good.
And that's mainly because it's stainless
Yeah,
and it's pricey.
pricey, sure. Well, that's good. I guess we're ahead of the game too, and probably ahead of a lot of other places getting in line. So,
Yeah. And
so
the other thing we did just, you know, as we were going through, we got a few of the other trucks moving into summer usage now. So we're having, you know, we're finding that we're doing better with the trucks the way they're configured. As you saw, you know, we're not having the repairs to do. So we're definitely comfortable with the upfitting and everything else that we've got.
I'll make a motion that we accept the bid for $389,829 for the upfit for the 2021 trucks.
Support from Eric.
motion by Mark, seconded by Andy to approve the uplift purchase for the trucks. Any further comment? Hearing none. Kylie?
Gilman,
Yes.
Merrick,
Yes.
McKellar,
Yes.
Mauser,
Yes.
and Brown.
Yes. Okay, item F is MDOT resolution to transfer jurisdiction of M137. Brad will speak briefly on this, I think.
Yeah, we talked to Rick Liptek on this, and last week, I believe it was, that Wayne was in. He went out with our Rick Zenner to look at this, and we are able to get in now if we make the agreement. The problem is if we wait till next year, there's most likely not going to be any of these M funds available for transfer. So we want to make sure if we're going to do this, we do it this year before the financial impact really takes effect and removes some of this funding availability. The road itself is something that, you know, we would make the repairs. We would do the repairs the way we want them to be done, as opposed to what MDOT was specking out. And Wayne can talk more about that if you want to hear exactly what's being proposed. But we're really ready to take it. It's a good workout for us. It makes a a good section of road, and the money we get annually for it will allow us to maintain the road in a very good condition.
Wayne, are you there?
Yes, I am.
Just a quick comment, or I guess a quick comment from you. The dollars that MDOT is offering to give us to take this over, the fixes we're gonna wanna do are probably less than what that number is, I'm assuming?
Well, we're very close to what MDOT has available to offer to us. Now, a year ago, the numbers were a little bit higher, but their funding, kind of gets skewed around a little bit, and so they had to kind of back their number down. But using their number that the most recent number they've provided us of the 760,000 and some change, we're pretty darn close to being able to do this. If we can get a little bit of work done under the current maintenance budget with MDOT while it's still under their control, then I think we can come right in and at those numbers. And Rick Liptak had expressed interest in wanting to work with us to try to do everything that they can with us on that. So I'm pretty confident that we can give a good product out to there. We've got a couple of different ways that we can go about this, but it would be a significant improvement on that route out there.
Anybody have any questions for Wayne?
I do, Carl.
Go ahead.
What is it you're going to be doing, or what is proposed fixes that we've got, and what is that going to affect the shoulders out here on 137?
Okay, so what MDOT had proposed was a standard mill and fill.
Right.
And with that, they're just going to mill it and put new asphalt down. Now, if they don't get through the cracks, if they don't get down all the way to the bottom of those cracks will come back, they'll propagate back up, and on average 1 inch per year, that a crack will migrate up through asphalt. So 1 inch of asphalt in 1 year. What we've been doing the last year or two here, with very good success and noted success through the industry, is we're installing a crack relief layer. So we go in and we'll put down, basically it's a chip seal, but it's a crack relief layer, and then we pave on top of that. And so that's what we're looking at for out there, and it can be done in a couple different ways on that. But we're looking at doing that. And what we also are looking at is doing a high ridge removal. So all the organics, the grass and everything builds up alongside the shoulder that prevents the water from sheeting off the roadway. We've got an estimate used in our crews to do that of a little over 17,000 to go out there and take care of that. As well as then with some additional tree removals in order to be putting in a shallow swale ditch out there in order for that water to go someplace.
So that can be like what you guys did on Long Lake Road on the other side of the light there, that chip seal with the pavement on top.
Yes.
Okay.
Yep. And we did the same thing down on Beitner Road.
Right. So it's just going to continue that all the way out to the basically the Arts Academy, or the state park. I'm sorry.
It'd be down to Vagabond Lane.
Keeping the same width that they've got there now for the shoulders and everything.
Yes. Yep.
Okay. That's a concern with all the Arts Academy kids who use that to get into the various things in the village here.
Yeah. Ideally, it would be nice to be able to kind of open that up a little bit more within the right of way, that in the future, a multi-use path separate off of the road, adjacent to the road, and that would be a much better, but that's down the road.
This works fine for me out here, and most of the residents like what we've got so far. So.
All right. You all set in? Okay, Jason?
I'm set.
Hey, Wayne, just So this would be, we'd be taking it over effective June 1st, and if we accept this as projected. The Act 51 monies, is that prorated into this year then? So we would see additional Act 51 monies?
I couldn't answer the Act 51 monies, whether that begins immediately. I believe Brad or Phil could probably answer that.
Jason, the normal Act 51 monies would begin as soon as the transfer is complete. The biggest thing is the one-time transfer that occurs, which is a separate issue that gets transferred once per year. That happens July 1st. So we want to make sure we take this in before July 1st. So not only do we get that 700 and some odd thousand there for the construction, but we're also getting the one-time transfer in before it goes away, because then it would be a whole year before that transfer would happen again. And then our normal increase for the regular MTF would take effect as soon as we have it. It'd be on our monthly payment would just increase by the amount of the road we're taking over.
Thanks.
Yeah, so it sounds like we want it before July 1, is what it sounded like. So, anything, Mark?
Nope, I'm good.
You're good? Okay.
I would move that we accept option B for resolution 2020-04-06.
Support.
Merrick.
Motion by Mauser, seconded by Merrick, to accept option B in the resolution. Kylie, you've got the number, I don't.
Resolution 2020-04-06.
2020-04-06. All right. I think everybody had a chance for discussion. We'll go ahead and do a roll call.
Merrick,
Yes.
McKellar,
Yes.
Bowser,
Yes.
Gilman,
Yes.
Brown.
Yes. All right, item G. Propose an offer and negotiate purchase of property needed for roundabout. This is Wayne.
Yes, thank you. So we've retained OHM for the design, and also through this process, they have we've got First Right of Way that is doing the appraisal work and all the necessary negotiations with the right of way. So they have been in contact with the one parcel owner that we know that is going to be directly affected with the Keystone Cass road project. They have a value determination. They would be following the Michigan law, which would be a good faith offer of 125% of that value determination. And with that, they're asking us for approval to go ahead with making that good faith offer and begin the negotiations with the property owner.
So you need a resolution, or you need the board to basically give you permission to go negotiate?
We just need permission to proceed forward with negotiations and making that good faith offer.
I would move that you have the authority to go ahead and negotiate.
Or
Okay, motion by Gilman, seconded by Mauser, to allow staff to go ahead and negotiate price on the property, 8835 North Keystone Road. Any further comments from anybody?
I have a question.
Okay.
The offer is based upon board approval. I mean, we're not approving that purchase,
No.
approving the offer and exploration. I mean, it's just, I want to make sure I understand exactly what this means, what we're going to do here.
Okay. Well, we have the value determination. The good faith offer then would be 125% of that. And at this point, we're looking for approvals to proceed ahead with making that good faith offer based on that appraisal of 125%, and then moving forward with that.
Mr. Chair, I've got a question.
Yeah, go ahead, Mark.
We're talking about down on Cass Road, right?
On Keystone.
835, well,
Keystone.
Yeah,
yeah, at
yeah.
that intersection.
At that intersection, Keystone Cass.
Okay. Why are we talking about that when that's not going to be our first roundabout project? Why aren't we talking about our roundabout project that's more eminent?
Because it's a timing issue. In order to make sure that things are working along in a timely fashion and that design doesn't get hooked up, hung up, we have to keep these moving ahead. So typically you're working a year in advance on items where you are looking at purchasing properties, because then after the purchasing of the property and then that time frame to go through, that'll still be a couple months down the road until then that we would then receive ownership of it, that the present tenants would move out. And then we'd still have to go through all the evaluations for hazardous materials within the structure and deal with demolition. So it's still a fairly lengthy process.
So what you're saying then is that we don't have that same challenge with the structure and the property at the 3 Mile Hammond intersection.
At 4 Mile and Hammond.
4 Mile, I'm sorry,
Correct.
4 Mile, okay.
Correct.
And I guess this is a question for the chair, is please refresh my memory where we elected OHM as the designer on these roundabouts. I know we talked about it, but it may have been a meeting I missed. I don't recall that, and I'd love to have my memory refreshed.
It may have been when you were in Florida, Mark.
I think Mark was here
Oh, was
because we
he?
agreed to them for the design and the assistance on roundabouts. And then we agreed to start talking to them and negotiating something if they do determine that they are who we feel best with to go forth into the next phase of the east-west. But we did agree to use them for specialized engineering, specifically for the fact that they are going to be able to come in, design these, and help us out, and at the same time get Joe and Wayne up to speed of the things that need to be looked at when they design, so that by the end of this, we should have in-house staff who should be able to deal with the design completely.
Yep.
So
Yep,
this
I
is a
agree.
whole
Yep.
separate issue from the environmental impact and all of that. This is a whole different,
Completely
that's a
different.
completely
Yeah, this is-
different,
This is just for design.
just for design work on these, Mark, not east-west.
Yeah, and Brad said it perfectly, because I do remember that conversation, and then the next into phase 2. So, okay,
Right.
thanks.
Okay. Okay, any further comments? Did we have Jason, you did make a motion?
Yeah.
And seconded by
Andy.
Bill. Okay. Or was it by Andy? By
Both
Bill?
of us did, whichever.
Okay. Go ahead. Let's do a roll call, Kylie.
McKellar,
Yes.
Hauser,
Yes.
Gilman,
Yes.
Merrick,
Yes.
Brown.
Yes. All righty. Item H, Kingsley Maintenance Facility, RFQ recommendation. Wayne?
All right. I tried to be as concise as I could, and in my one-page memo to you, we started out with 6 responses from the RFQ. With that, we put a committee together. We met and discussed the proposals. We we had 4 proposals that we shortlisted, requested supplemental information from, and by the time when we got done through that in the ranking, we had 2 that were virtually tied. 1 point separated the 2 firms. The number 1 firm was Grand Traverse Construction. They ranked number 1, and then Fleece and Vandenbrink Construction ranked number 2. Based on our brief summary and key points of the submittals and the information that you were provided in the board packets, we are recommending for the structure Grand Traverse Construction based on their RFQ, their pre-COVID and not to exceed fee of $4,124,000. That was based on the GTC as the prime contractor and proposed a Varco prudent pre-engineered metal building depending on our standards and budgets. The GTC also proposed partnering with local firms, Environmental Architects, Trison Engineering, and Josuac Consulting to deliver the salt storage building by October 23rd of 2020 and the office and materials garage by January 15th of 21. Again, scoring 1 point behind was Fleece and Vandenbrink Construction. They had to base their original RFQ and pre-COVID the not to exceed fee of $3,767,350, and that was based on their design, build, and construction management with one of several proposed options for a pre-engineered metal building depending on the schedule. The F&V would partner with its sister companies under the F&V name for architecture, engineering, and construction management to maintain the original schedule of the salt barn by October 1 of 2020 and the office and maintenance garage by November 15th of 2020. And then I gave just kind of a brief apples to apples comparison of the not to exceed fees, the construction management fee, construction estimate, information on the project superintendents, project engineers, the civil engineering firms, and the schedule.
Where in the
Again,
packet is this?
Pardon?
I'm not seeing this in the board packet.
It's
not.
Unfortunately, it's not. I've looked twice.
I wanted to make sure I didn't miss it because you said in the board pack. I'm like, I don't remember seeing that. And I scrolled through this now.
He would have pulled it up on her computer if it had been.
okay.
So
Well, and I believe Brad, you might want to chime in here or jump in here too. Now, this was all pre-COVID when we started this process. COVID came about, and now there's a lot of unknowns. And then, so during this time, we asked some questions. Some obviously were not able to provide good solid answers, and that's understandable. Supply and demand and the unknown of when things are going to open back up are still very questionable. So with that, our committee, we discussed that, but we felt that we needed to still kind of proceed ahead with the information that we have and then bring it with a recommendation to the board for conversation and discussion. As well as I believe then there's other items out there that might affect proceeding forward. So.
Yeah, and thanks, Wayne. The other thing we did have as we started discussing this was the fact that, you know, we're on a pretty limited site. It's about 5 acres. We've got some high power lines that could interfere with us no matter how we set up the facility. So we have started doing a little bit of research here to see what it would take to purchase a parcel of land across the street, which is 35 acres. And that would save us the cost of demolition. It would also give us a lot more space to work with. We would not have the wiring in the way. And so we are still looking into that, but as we just had a chance to go out and look at the parcel, I was out there with both Dan and Rick Zenner, and we had a nice walk through the parcel, very flat. It fits in nicely because the back entrance could be designed so that Kingsley, when they come in to get salt from us, would come in from the back, which would give us a little bit easier way for them getting in and out and not interfere with our usage. Plus, it would have the room to have a little more stockpiled at the location. So there's a couple other things we're still working with, but we need to start looking at how we're going to build this and what it's going to look like and what are our exact features that we want. And with all of the different proposals, each one had some things they included and some things they didn't. Go ahead, Jason.
Just so we're not being asked then to approve the purchase or of this right now. Then I mean, if there's a lot of questions whether we're going to be building on our site or across the street, as you say, and frankly, if that affects the cost of it and how it's bid.
Yeah, you don't know what that number is at this point, Jason.
Right.
So effectively, what we're looking at right now, though, is getting in touch with Grand Traverse, who is the best one from what we evaluated, and starting to move forward to get some more firmed up numbers, and then start saying, you know, okay, what are we looking at time frame wise, and what are we talking? Because, you know, like for example, Grand Traverse had $100,000 in the budget as a placeholder for furniture. We're not going to spend $100,000 on furniture, but they did include a fuel island, which Lisa and Vanderbrink did not. So there's a lot of differences that we need to iron out and make sure that we are moving forward and everything is going to work out right. And there is still no guarantee, you know, when we sit down with them and start negotiating, that this is going to be the company we select. This is more an update at this point, so you understand where we're going and who we're thinking about and where we want to move forward with. And I think both Bill and Carl, who were involved with the evaluation, were both in agreement with Wayne and Dan and Phil and I that this was the company we wanted to move forward with.
Hey, Jason, do you remember who built the library?
That was Hallmark. That was not Grand Traverse.
Makes me go, every now and again. I can't remember what.
That was Hallmark.
And I recall we looked at Bill and Carl because they do have extensive construction experience to kind of to lead us in that one, I think. So.
Yeah, and Grand Traverse has done a lot of this type of building. I'm not so sure on the salt building, but that's not I mean, our main focus is both buildings, of course, but our facility for trucks and that is number one, I think, is the critical thing. We can get a lot of different designs on salt barns from, you know, even just going around looking at what other counties are doing. And at this point, like Brad pointed out too, we're not committing to other than just to get things lined out and numbers and that, not really a contract per se here. We want to sit down with them and proceed on with some better design and that. So it's not like we're signing a contract with them.
And Wayne, when you're negotiating with them, just let them know that our budget just took $1 million hit.
So really, that's all we're looking for, is being able to proceed and then, you know, and get some better numbers and better input from them on what we're looking for. And like Brad said, the possibility of that property right straight across the street from us, it would be a much better spot to put this new facility as far as getting in and out and everything else, if the property is for sale. There is no for sale sign on it, but it's been sitting there empty I've lived in Kingston my whole life, and there's never been anything on that property. So
well, Carl, I got a question then. You know, I certainly don't have a problem with looking at, remodeling and improving the existing site, but, that might be good money after bad, the way that they described originally, the condition of that building. And now we looked next door and they don't want to sell. Now we're looking across the street. If we're going to look for a different site, I mean, is there a particular reason why we want to stay right there across the street? I mean,
Water and sewer.
Oh, okay. So why aren't we looking on the east end of town where it's developed?
And natural gas also.
Right. So on the east end of town, there's a park back in there, industrial park.
Yeah,
And
that property is more than we want to spend. On
Oh,
box
have we
there.
talked to him?
I have not, but I see him every day and I could certainly talk to him. I could talk to Rick. I see him every day.
Yeah, talk to the brothers. You got to talk to some because I don't know what they're doing with it, but I things have changed.
Yeah, they were pretty pricey at one point in time.
Yeah, but things have changed dramatically for them.
Oh, yeah.
So in the marketplace.
I could certainly do that. That would give us water and sewer there. There is no natural gas on that site, but it's very close because the trailer park has it, but they don't have it in the industrial park.
Yeah, but I think there's another source of power supply into there that we're not all aware of, and that's a conversation.
No, the natural gas,
Nope.
that's not on that site. I know that for a
No,
fact.
it's not. I think we just have to look into it, but I think there's another source of energy coming into that location that isn't well known about yet.
Well,
So-
we can certainly, that's not a problem. Like I said, I can see him, and we kind of know what we need for, size wise, and that would be right off the state highway too. So that it would not be that big a deal either, and then
Pretty flat,
zoning
yeah.
wise, it would already, I'm sure we would fall under the parameters of what we need to,
Right. But I mean, if they want us to hold on to the big bucks where the chip comes in, that's one thing, but
Right. No, I'll ask. That's not a problem at all. Because like I said, I see Rick every day.
yeah, that's Rob or Rick, either one.
He
Yep.
takes care of the oil well right across the street from me.
All right, cool.
On
So
that land
at this
across the street-
point though, we're just looking at now, to proceed on with Grand Traverse as far as buildings and firming up what we want so we can get a little better handle on, the building itself, either site or wherever out there is going to be basically the same cost to build other than, if we got to run power or something in. I mean, that would be a different deal. But as far as structurally, the structures are going to cost us the same at either site.
Yeah.
So,
Even at the old location where we currently are, the one issue is the fact that the size is not ideal. But, that's a tight time frame for us. We could do it, but it would definitely be something, you have to have it so that everything falls into place, because both buildings that are on our current site would have to be demolished before either the salt barn or the office / vehicle storage building could even start.
yeah. So if we move off to a different
Asked to
site,
do.
then we just abandon the one we're at when the other one's ready to go. So it might be to
What do
our
we-
advantage actually looking at a different site, and then that eases that time frame on everybody.
What are we being asked to do here specifically?
Just-
What action are we looking at?
I think it's mainly, we want, just a consensus that yes, you understand where we're moving and that you're comfortable with us starting a real conversation with Grand Traverse Construction to start getting firm prices together and a really realistic time frame with all the COVID issues that we've had. What are we looking at? Is it going to still be construction wise the same time frame? We got a lot of things that we now have to discuss that we weren't originally forecasting.
And we're not spending money here.
Right, no commitment, no money, so there's no motion needed here. It's just a consensus.
Just a consensus, and we'll have to do a, roll call on this, but just so that we can proceed forward. And I mean, that's going to get us closer to some hard numbers is really what this is going to do.
I'm down with it.
I wouldn't have a problem doing this tonight, but I would like to get that information that that Wayne's got that didn't make it into the packet so I can review that? And if
Sure,
need,
he'll email that to you. I'm sure that's not a problem.
I just want to be able to look at that. So if we have to make a change because I see something makes me go, oh, we can discuss that at the next meeting.
Absolutely. But yeah, like, we're not committing to, you know, we're just committing to trying to get the next step done, but not spending any money and not signing a contract that they are the guy that's going to do it.
Yeah, I'm with Jason. I agree that I consent to do this.
So let's go ahead and just do a roll call approval just to proceed on with Grand Traverse and talks on the Kingsley facility. Kylie?
Bowser?
Yes.
Gilman?
Yep.
Eric?
Yes.
McCallum?
Yes.
Brown?
Yes, very good, guys. Okay, item E is East-West Corridor Study, and it's a kind of a two-phase thing here. I guess I'll, you know, for not putting Wayne under the gun here, it says, you know, we can do one of two things. We could approve to go with the people we're using, or we could have a special meeting to discuss this further. I believe we should probably sit down as a group here, and hopefully things are going to open up here this next month, and discuss this a little further versus the kind of money we're talking about here. I think a little more discussion on how we're going on this next step. I think that's my opinion.
So take this, move it to another meeting.
Yeah, we just do it as a special meeting where we're not going to spend any money. We're not going to, you know, we're just going to probably, you know, go over all the options we have or don't have. You know, maybe OHM isn't the one we want to use. Maybe it is. I don't know. But I think we need to put a little more, you know, we're going to be putting a lot of money out here. And you know, I just want to make sure that, you know, that we're making sure it's the right people that we want pushing this thing through at this point. You know, I know the environmental thing is what we got to get going on. So I want to make sure we use whoever's the best firm for that, I think.
Carl, do you know if we have any information on anyone else that's put an RFQ, RFP, RF anything that we can look at in comparison on this yet?
That would be a question for Wayne, I think.
So no, we haven't requested RFQs from anyone else. This entire process, you know, it started before me, but our conversations, and we went through an RFQ from the very beginning, and it was identified and kind of set up that we were going to have 5 phases here. So the first phase has been completed with the purpose of need. Phase 2 here would actually be like a phase 2A and a phase 2B dealing with the environmental. But our original RFQ had this spaced out into these 5 different phases. And at any given time, we can stop with, you know, with a phase and then go elsewhere. That's entirely, you know, up to us. So we were at that point where we finished up phase 1 and we had conversation. It's like, well, okay, what's phase 2 going to look like? And so that's what we have requested, a phase 2 proposal. And that's what we have here today in front of us. We've had quite a bit of a conversation back and forth, and then we had discussed in-house as well, and have this information. So there is quite a bit. They would be willing to, you know, do a presentation on it at the special meeting via Zoom or whatever other fashion is appropriate on that, or we can, you know, present and discuss what the proposal that they have and that we went over.
Now, we got RFQs from other people at the same time we got OHMs, if I remember right. Would that RFQ still be applicable for this? And we just need to do an RFP if we want to get pricing and what have you from them? Am I saying that right?
Yes, I think you're saying it right. I do not know the context of those other RFQs. That was before my time. So I really, it would be inappropriate for me to be trying to speak on
Okay,
that.
so I was there, so I'm gonna weigh in. So Andy, I think the answer is yes, the companies that did provide the original RFQs would be appropriate to look at, but the RFQ would be different because this phase 2, A and B, are different in terms of the material content that are going to be required and the studies and applications are going to be done. So yeah, same companies and maybe new companies that we haven't entertained, but just definitely a different RFQ because of the scope. So now we talked about this quite a bit in one or two meetings here several months ago. And it was kind of presented that it was automatic that we were going to go with OHM. And I think the board at that time agreed that maybe that wasn't so automatic. And I agree that it would be, it's like switching horses in the middle of the stream, not easy, but if the other horse can't carry you over, then it might be worth it to switch. So I'm looking at this as an opportunity to get some RFQs out there, and not only with OHM, because they've subcontracted 2 groups to work with them. Even though they clearly state in here it's arm's length reach relationship with Networks Northwest, if you read this material, they couldn't be more entangled with Networks Northwest in terms of the public outreach. So we have the option, not only if we were to choose OHM or another group, but we also have the option to choose who's going to do our outreach. And so I can tell you right now that I wasn't happy with the way OHM handled it last time when it got down to the end of the, they cost us an extra 50 grand. And then they also kind of fumbled the ball a little bit on the public outreach. And they had an outside firm working with them on that. So I don't think we need to have the ball fumbled again. And if anybody goes through and reads the fine print in this presentation, they've already fumbled the ball. They're already putting negative commentary in here, an opinion, but it's not factual. So I'm not really happy. And Networks Northwest, I will tell everybody, was years ago when we were dealing with TC Talus, was working behind the scenes to upset the apple cart on our deal there, big time. So I'm not really familiar or feeling comfortable with it. So I would rather have a full meeting just to talk about this and see what we might be able to do going forward.
Jason, any comments?
Yeah, actually, I want to back up Mark on this one. They have a tendency to kind of slow roll us as if we really don't want to do this, but we'll take your money to do this. And frankly, they should kind of be our advocate out there for what the board is trying to do. And while I understand finding the flaws or the weaknesses in what it is that we want to do, find the ways to do it. That's really what we want to see.
Right, I agree. Andy?
I have no problem with another meeting. I just think if we're going to do another meeting, we may want to have something else to look at. If it sounds like 2 of the 3 board members are not thrilled with the current organization and their partners.
Okay, Bill?
I think we need another meeting, discuss it at greater length and go back to how we got to where we are now. The OHM performance issues, and then come up with a decision.
Okay. Well, I guess we're all in agreement. We're going to have, we'll do it as a work session. I don't think anything should happen that night. Maybe, I guess with the four of your blessings, maybe I'll get with Wayne and discuss what we can do to maybe get some ideas or input from, you know, if we got to dig back into the past of the other ones that were in the original group, and maybe we need to re-explore the original group too. Thoughts?
You got my blessing, Chief. You can go ahead and talk to him.
Okay. Andy?
I agree. That's a good idea.
Jason?
All good.
Okay. Bill?
Yeah,
Okay.
another meeting.
Wayne, I'll reach out to you first of the week and we'll discuss this, all right?
Okay. Yes, sir.
Okay, item J, resolution of support for FY 2023 local bridge program applications. That's you again, Wayne.
Me again, yes. So the local bridge program has got got the invite notice out, and we've got a couple of bridges that we are recommending to submit for the local bridge program. Oh, there we go. Whew. All right. Scared me for a second. I thought I lost you.
Oh, no, you're good.
Okay. So our two structures that we have out here, and it's not, yes, I believe I had it in the engineering part of the board package, but I'll just kind of go through it quickly here for your benefit. The first structure is 3058, and that's the Diamond Park Road over the Little Betsy River. This is 42-foot long, single span, pre-stressed concrete box beam that was constructed in 1970 and is currently load rated for 40, 40, and 55 tons. That's a single, double, and triple unit trucks. It's been also reduced to 12-month inspection cycles. Typically, it's every 24 months, but this is due to the condition of these. It's on a mandatory inspection cycle of 12 months now. So, and that's because of the deck and the beams. So the proposed rehabilitation would be a superstructure replacement as the box beams have spalled and strands have post-tensioning plates are rusted. The abutments are in good condition and don't warrant replacement. So an estimated road approach and structure cost of $578,000 is the amount that we are submitting to the local, that we would submit to the local bridge program for consideration. And we are recommending that this be our #1 priority. Our second, and that's in the next resolution, and we can do these individually. The next would be Beitner Road over the Boardman River. That is a 44-foot long twin multi-plate culverts on concrete footings that was constructed in 1980. That currently restricts the flow of water, has heavy corrosion at the center pier, pardon, welcome guests. I lost my place here now. Okay, it's got heavy corrosion at the center pier where the culvert bears on the concrete foundation, also has moderate corrosion at the ends. The proposed removal and replacement would be for a single span bridge. Estimated road approach and structure is at $2.64 million. This would be our second priority. Now, it's noteworthy to point out that this would exceed 50% of the available funding of the North Region Local Bridge Program and their funds, and thus would be forwarded as a local bridge, forwarded to the Local Bridge Advisory Board as a large bridge. Those local matching funds on projects of such a large scale in comparison to the available funding of the program are often looked upon more favorably by the regional boards and the statewide Local Bridge Advisory Board. And so with that one, I'd be recommending that we also increase our local match on that structure and that structure alone.
All right, so Carl, I'll make a resolute, or I'll make a, there we go. I am gonna make a motion that for resolution 2020-0404, Diamond Park Road Bridge structure, that we allow the staff to seek that funding and,
Okay.
and put the application in.
Support from Eric.
Okay. Motion by McKellar, supported by Merrick, for the resolution for the bridge on Diamond Park Road. Any further comments on that one? Kylie?
Gilman,
Yes.
Merrick,
Yes.
McKellar,
Yes.
Bowser,
Yes.
Brown.
Yes. Bill, did you want to do the other one? We're gonna do both, aren't we?
Well, I have a question on the Beitner Road Bridge.
Sure,
Is
go ahead.
this the one with the parks on the both side there?
Yes.
Correct.
Aren't they culverts right now?
They are,
Yeah.
yes, they're multi-plate culvert.
And just to be, I mean, looking forward in case all things fall apart in other areas, when we're talking about replacing it, are we talking about replacing it with a bridge that's going to be capable of taking modified or otherwise being able to handle 4 lanes?
We would be looking at, as for width, we'd be getting into that into the design end. Right now, it would basically be handling something closer to 2 full lanes of traffic and 8-foot shoulders. That could be, you know, possibly modified in the future. But we wind up looking at those proposed traffic counts in order to make that determination.
So if we had enough count, then there's possibility of 4 lanes. Is that correct, Wayne?
It would have to, yeah, it would have to have all of that, correct. Right now, it doesn't have that kind of count. It doesn't have that poor level of service on that route. It gets problems, you know, kind of away from the bridge, up closer to the
corner.
intersection up
Yeah.
there, corner. But
Yeah, the biggest problem is if you do a 4-lane all the way down there, but you can't do, where do you put them? Because you can't do a 4-lane going up at the hill.
Right.
But so Jason hit on something though. So we talked a few months back about the River Road roundabout, okay? And how close that would be to that park.
Very close, right?
And the traffic. And we kicked around the idea of going to the county and saying, listen, you know, why don't you shut the park down on the, you know, the in and out, the drive and everything on the west side, and keep the park on the east side, but no entrances, no curb cuts on the main road by the bridge, and have it come in off of River Road. Now there's a county maintained road that goes off of River Road right back in there. And actually you can drive by, you can still see the old road highway when it was there, not highway, but the old road. I checked it out. That's all state or city land or county land back in there. And it would be possible. And there's a number of people that support that because the park would be safer and it would all be contained on one side. It would still be parkland on the east side or the west side of the road, but it wouldn't be, you wouldn't get in. You'd get to Trailhead just down the road a ways at Olson Park and go in. So that if we're going to put in a new bridge there, we ought to talk to the county about seriously doing those modifications, not only because of the bridge, but also because of the roundabout. It is a safety issue. It's crazy down there in the summer. So it just, there we go.
Yeah, I agree. I don't see any reason, you know, if we were gonna upgrade that bridge, if we could get the county to buy into it, I don't see any reason not to do that, you know? I don't necessarily know that the both sides of the road is a bad deal. There's no question about that. Park on both sides. It's just, what happens.
Well, we're
Yeah.
gonna eat some of those parklands up.
Yeah.
Yeah, one way or the other.
We're gonna take a little bit on each side when we redo the reconstruction, correct?
Well, I
Well-
think we'd still be in the right of way, wouldn't we, Wayne? So we're really not going to get into them.
Right, we're going to be in the right of way. What is going to potentially be an issue is just grade elevations. And we may have to be looking at raising the roadway right through there a little bit in order to try to better provide for clearance underneath. We do need to, right now, those structures narrows the river down, which is not good. And so it's going to be significantly longer and wider than what's there now. And that could very well, translate into the roadway being elevated up, which makes then access to that parkland very difficult. So all that would work into the benefit if we go forward with this project and it receives funding for 2023 to be working between now and then with the park to grant a different access point that will greatly alleviate some of the problems with otherwise providing access to the park.
Who sits on Parks and Recreation?
That's Bill.
No.
No, Andy.
Go get him, Tiger.
That's the Andy.
A quick question for Wayne and then a follow-up. Wayne, typically, how long would a bridge like this, what's its life expectancy? What are we talking nowadays, 50 years?
Are we talking the standard new construction bridge?
Yeah.
We're talking 100 years.
Okay. And this gets me back to my original question, and the reason I ask it is because, when we're talking long-term, we're talking 20 or 30 years down the road, we look at that corridor and what the traffic patterns are. Maybe right now we're not looking at it as feasible to drop an extra couple of lanes up the hill on Beitner, but it may become necessary down the road, particularly if we open up some higher traffic counts on its back door. And that's why I'm just trying to, say whatever we do, I think if we can be prepared for that, rather than have another bottleneck down the road that needs to be replaced.
Well, what would wind up happening, and we've done this with some other structures, is as an area develops and you get more of a traffic there, is you can actually widen your structures, fairly, versus trying to build everything out now for the future. You wind up taking the abutments, widening those out, adding then additional either concrete box beams or whatever the original construction was, and you can actually wind up widening out your structures to handle additional lanes.
Satisfies my question. I appreciate that. Thanks.
Well, I'll make a motion that we move forward with resolution 2020-0405, the Beitner Road Bridge Structure number 3059.
No, and before you vote on that, this is going to be a large structure. This at 2.6 million. Just for comparison, in 2019, the North Region Bridge Council, they only received a budget of 2.9 million, and so that's
all we need.
Hey, really?
Right. Well, anytime
That's what I thought.
application comes in that is 50% or greater than a region's budget, it's automatically kicked to the local bridge advisory board that meets down in Lansing. With that, the region can kick in some funds if they so desire and they want to do that. But what makes a bigger impact to the local bridge advisory board for selection is additional funding. Now, we are required to participate 5% of the physical construction of the structure. So there's 80% federal funds, there's 15% state funds, and 5% local funds. What makes a big difference is additional local match. And so if we can throw in an additional 5% to bring it up to a total of 10%, we'd be going from 132,000 to 264,000. Or if we kick in at 15 or at 20%. So I did some calling around, did some asking, talked to some of my old friends down at in Lansing at MDOT, and I was asking them what are they typically seeing for local matches and what is typically getting approved. And it's anywhere from the 10 to the 20% local match for these large bridges that make it, they score higher, they're looked upon more favorably by the board, by that board, and are then selected. So I would recommend that if we go to a 20% match, we're looking at 528,000 on a $2.6 million bridge to fund and to improve our network.
Well, I'll continue my motion that we do a local match of 20%.
Word from Mary.
Support motion.
Oh,
Randy
you
can't,
okay?
what the hell?
Motion by motion by McKellar and seconded by Merrick to accept the resolution on the Beitner Road Bridge, structure 3059. Roll call, Kylie. With a 20% match.
I got a quick question for Phil.
Oh, go ahead.
How's that going to work with money, Phil? We got it? For that?
That's 2023. That's 2 years out, man.
I mean, is that something that
3 years. That's 3 years out. We would have to just budget for it in our budget at that point in time. Yeah, it would be definitely a priority.
I was thinking what we ought to do is go to the treasurer of Green Lake Township and ask them for the money.
You can ask her now. I don't know who's going to be there in November yet.
Okay, go ahead, Kylie.
Merrick,
Yes.
McKellar,
Yes.
Hauser,
Yes.
Gilman,
Let's say no this time.
Yes. For me, yes. Okay, I guess we're to informational items. This is going to be Brad.
Okay, a few little things, so you're aware of it. May 7th, which I believe you've all heard about, we have our virtual MTA meeting. We're going to be doing it by way of Zoom. Everybody who wants to attend does need to register for this so that we know who's going to be there. This is not an open meeting. It is just an informational meeting. We're not discussing anything. So we're just going to be having that. Anybody that's interested in participating in it, contact Kylie, and she will take care of getting you guys set up with it also. May 18th, well, first of all, next week we're going to start brining. So you're aware we're going to start brining. We expect it to take about 3 weeks. On May 18th, we are going to be going to the Village of Elk Rapids. We worked out an agreement with them to grade their alleys in exchange for their jetting machine, which they no longer use, so that we will have a jetting machine that we own, and it's going to cost us about $5,000 for a machine that originally new was probably closer to 100. It's probably worth every bit of 15 right now. But they just need somebody to grade their alleys, and we need a jetting machine to clean our culverts.
Sounds like a fair trade.
So yeah, and they think so too. Tomorrow, we are going to have Milan out, weather permitting, out on Bluff Road, south of Blue Lake. The section that gave way but did not need the road to be cleared, they're going to go in and do some stopgap measures and do some repairs to it. Total cost is going to be under 10,000 we expect, so it's not a huge thing, but we need to do something now because if we lose that section of road, we're talking about a massive detour. They are also going to be getting us prices just for ballpark idea of what it would take to do some stopgap measures in the other two locations north of there where we currently have the road closed so that we could hopefully stop it from dropping off into the lake. So, one other thing, Rick Liptek has scheduled the public meeting for May 21st for Peninsula Township portion of M37 and the city of Traverse City taking a portion of M37. This is to remove the historical byway or whatever the exact terminology is from that stretch of road, which would then allow them to transfer it to us. So that is May 21st. It is scheduled to be at the TSC. So I will be there, and at least Carl, we'd like to see you there if we could, just so we have a presentation, but anybody
A
else.
question on that, Brad.
Yes, sir.
A question on that. If in fact they go through that hearing or whatnot, what's the timetable on then picking that up? Are we going to beat the July 1st potentially, or are we going to be waiting another year, or how's that going to work?
That one, because of the issues that we had out there and the fact that it's going to end up taking a while to get all this stuff through. If it does take effect, that is one that we have been assured that Rick will prioritize and be able to beat the July 1st deadline. If it does not, they will work with the MDOT folks to have the transfer take place immediately following, and then the money would still come to us. So we have been in discussion with them. If it does go through, once this whole hearing is done, then we will still get the annual money for it. Okay. And then the other big things, we are still, as I said, we are still looking at Bluff Road. We have the DEQ and the Army Corps of Engineers. We've talked to them a little bit. They are going to try and get out here within the next 2 to 3 weeks to start looking at those. We're hoping to get an idea of what they're going to ask of us from the final repair. If we are going to do a final repair, we have to have their permission to deal with it because it is on the shoreline. So we are hoping to see them here in maybe 3 weeks. And then we will be moving forward to figure out what we're looking at and what the ballpark dollar amounts will be to actually have these repairs done. Originally, we were hoping that we would have some funds coming for high water mitigation, but with the COVID-19 costs to the state, we're not going to be holding our breath on that one because they have other things that they have earmarked for money, obviously, that they have to deal with. But we are moving forward with it, and we should have some answers as soon as we get done with the Army Corps and the Eagle folks here on site. COVID-19 here, still no drastic changes. We have provided everybody with a mask and they all have been instructed, what the requirements are as far as, where they do need to wear them and what they're expected to do. We are still maintaining social distancing. I would like to thank Carl's wife for making all those masks. The guys do tend to like the masks that she made for us. So, it's definitely better than some of the other options we had out there. And our guys are, taking it into consideration. We are still trying to keep them out of stores while they're working, so they're not going in and out of a lot of stores, and we're trying to keep them as separated as possible. we are still one person per vehicle. So it is a slight bit higher cost, but we are still getting the work accomplished that needs to be done. And we have a lot of updates that we pass on to everybody within the staff so that they are aware of what's happening. And then we keep them up to date on any of the new executive orders that come through and how they affect us. Last thing I have is we did get the new set of trains in for us. So we are going to be able to sell the oldest set now that we have the 2 newer sets in. So we are working on getting them stripped off and ready to go. And we just recently, as per the disposal request that we had presented to the board in the past, we are getting rid of a couple of our Sterling trucks. They're very old, but Presque County is still running these. So they are hoping to come here on Friday, check in hand as soon as their board approves it tonight. Tomorrow, they plan on coming here to pick these trucks up and take them off of our hands. We got what we expected for the one and 500 more than we expected for the other. So they're happy to have them because they can't find replacement parts anymore. So another good interaction with another governmental unit. So it benefits both of us. So that is
Gone is good.
yes. Oh, sorry. Yeah, the last thing is effective Monday, the field crew will be moving to 4 10-hour days. We have people working, the majority of the crew will work Monday through Thursday, but we do have people covering us on a Tuesday through Friday shift so that if something does happen, we will have a crew in to take care of trees down, massive pothole blow-ups, as well as picking up deer that may get hit before the weekend. So with as much travel as we're doing back and forth with as many vehicles, this is going to be much more advantageous to us to have the 10-hour days as opposed to the 8-hour days where we're sending all of these vehicles out 5 times a week instead of sending them out 4. And the guys in the back are definitely appreciative of it, and they definitely look forward to being able to work 4 10s like most of the rest of the counties in the area. And that is it for me.
All right. I think the next thing is commissioners' comments. Mark, anything?
Nope, all set.
Andy?
I was talking to Mr. Radke at Green Lake Township the other day. He said that there's concerns on the Bush Road private section about what we've got going on with the trucks and whether we're supposed to be driving over there or not. My recollection is we weren't driving on that in the summer, just in the winter. Did I misunderstand and misspeak on that?
The agreement was if we were going to do any type of maintenance for them, that we would still be allowed to use it to drive through. And the idea we have, and it's the same as it was when we originally agreed to it. We did the snow removal because it was more convenient for us. And we are going to grade it one time as we go through, but we are not going to perform routine gravel maintenance. We're not going to bring in any gravel. We're not going to be drastically shaping the road, but we will, when we pull through that area of our section, we will leave the grader blade down for one time a year. And that's what we agreed to with them at the time.
Okay, for some reason I thought it was just for the winter. We had the arrangements made for travel in the winter, and then in the summer we're going to turn around. I may have been mistaken. I just wanted to clarify that with you and the board.
All set?
Yep.
Jason?
I'm good, thank you.
He's good?
He's good.
He's good. Bill,
Good.
anything?
I'm good as well.
Okay. And myself too, I think the staff is, has done well through the COVID ups and downs. All staff, everybody here, it's uncharted waters for all of us, and and kudos to everybody. I know a lot of us don't like a lot of the things that are happening, but we're doing them and knowing that we need to do them. So, I think the guys stopping at the stores has slowed down a little bit, I think, so I think we've done the right things there too. And so far so good. Staff is all healthy. And I think I'm hoping that the worst is behind it for all of us here. So I guess that's it for me. And now we are, public comment number 2. Joe, are you still with us?
I am here.
Anybody there that would like to comment?
Do we want Kylie to read the rules one more time?
We have a lot of new people that came on.
Okay, Kylie will do that.
Any person may make an advance appointment with the board regarding road commission topics for a regular or special meeting in accordance with the Open Meetings Act. If an appointment is made, the topic will be an agenda item. The following applies to public comments. Please state his or her name and address. 2, topic must be relevant to the road commission. Individuals are allowed to speak once for up to 3 minutes on a single topic, which may be extended by the chair. A group addressing the board requires a designated spokesperson who may speak up to 10 minutes. The board will not act on any item from the public that is not on the agenda. Zoom software, please use the chat option or the raise the hand if you wish to make a public comment. And for call-ins, we will unmute and please say yes if you'd like to speak.
Okay, we have 2 phone call-ins. So phone number ending in 110. Do you have a public comment at this time? You are now allowed to talk.
Hi, Joe. Thank you. This is Beth's friend. I just wanted to thank Brad and Kylie for organizing and orchestrating that the Road Commission will be presenting to the Grand Traverse County chapter of the Michigan Townships Association. That will take place by an electronic format on Thursday, May 7th at noon to 1 o'clock. So I hope that the road commissioners will be able to join in. And again, just extend appreciation to Brad and Kylie for organizing that. So thank you very much.
Phone number ending in 259. You are now allowed to make public comment if you have any. All right, hearing none, you will be muted again. And do you want me to read through the list of participants who have signed on to allow them to, or no one has raised their hand at this point in time?
No one's raised their hand to want to speak?
No.
Well, then I guess we will close the public comment section. I would entertain a motion to adjourn.
I'll make a motion that we adjourn.
Second. Motion by Mark, seconded by Bill to adjourn. We'll do a roll call on that.
McKellar,
Yes.
Bowser,
Yes.
Gilman.
Yep.
Eric,
Yes.
Brown.
Yes. Thank you all. Thank you, Joe.